While joining me for this very special conversation is former Defence Minister of Maldives, Mariya Didi. Ma'am, thank you for speaking to us.
Thank you very much.
Let's first begin with the manner in which, you're obviously the first female Defence Minister of Maldives, so that's an achievement in itself. You've also set the right example by taking that sentiment forward and ensuring gender equality. So, to begin on a lighter note, I want to ask you, how much of your initiatives have borne fruit? You'd taken a lot of steps in that direction. How do you see things playing out in Maldives today?
The thing is, I happen to be the first female lawyer as well.
Yes.
And since then, I mean, we are only 200,000 people, but almost 900 women have followed suit, which means there are more than 900 qualified lawyers since I qualified. So I see that as a trend. I was the first female chairperson of a major political party in Maldives. So the party was formed in 2005. We had about 12,000 members when we formed the party. But when I left as chairperson, we had grown to 48,000 members, and we had also won the first democratic elections during the time.
You were leading the campaign for
President Nasheed, yes. And I was in the parliament 4 consecutive terms elected as a member of parliament, and representing the center of Malé, which seems to have the 2/3 of the population is in Malé, so being so centrally located as well. So it's given me a lot of experience, which I can share with the younger people as such. But sadly enough, we do not see that many people, women in parliament. So I feel that is one area where we have to do more. Have more female voices in places where policy is being determined. You know, there's a lot of female journalists who are doing a lot of good work, because our country adopted the new constitution and started our democratic journey in 2008 when we had the new constitution come in. And we found a lot of ladies doing this sort of work. But parliament wise, even in our party. And in 2012, when we had President Nasheed's government, suddenly he resigned, and we say that he was pressured into resigning because morning he was at work, and then there were so many things that happened. In that situation as well, we found women leading from the front. All the protests, everything that went on, were led by women. So it's very sad that when it comes to elections and being in positions, they hold back. Even then I was telling them, that they have to really go for it and stay in the position that they have been. But for the obvious reasons that you have in other countries as well. When you're a public figure, you have your families, you have your children, you have your reputation, anything, it's a lot to put at stake.
Oh, yes.
But when done well, and if you are able to ignore that side of it as part of being in politics and eternally in such a small place like that, where everybody knows you, to have that kind of public exposure all the time. But the advantage of being a smaller place is that people know you.
Yeah.
They know exactly what you're capable of.
You've got to find the right balance.
Yeah, so you have to find the right balance and
set the right example.
And sometimes even I am very candid, so I'm not always saying the right thing, what people want to hear. But still, people know you for who you are. People know that you're frank, you're trustworthy, and that's the most important thing.
And that's what we're here for, to get candid with you. Speaking of which, I also want to talk about what we just heard from you during the session, which is you placing India over China as a more reliable friend. So I want to understand where that's coming from, and why do you believe so?
First of all, from the southern tip of India, we are just 50 minutes away. Some parts of India, I think, are more far from y'all than Maldives is to India. So naturally, we are geographically aligned. We've been neighbours since time immemorial, but we've never had major disputes. You know, we have a lot of, like, y'all treat us like onions, basic food items, rice, all that. You give us at a very subsidized, like rock aggregates and all that are needed for our projects as well. You have increased the quota as well. The other day on 2nd April only, you announced. The second thing is you have the neighborhood first policy of your Prime Minister Modi, where he believes that, you know, when India is rising, when it's becoming an economic power, you take your neighbors with you. You know, you don't want people in poverty closer to yours, so that, you know, you have trouble. When if you have poverty, then you have all sorts of troubles in your backyard, and that is not something you want. You know, when you become a world power, you want your neighbors also to come with you. And Prime Minister Modi has said that he has the neighborhood first policy, and within the neighbors as well, he treats Maldives as a first. So, and naturally, we feel, you know, and whenever we have had problems like the incident in 1988, the tsunami, the COVID as well, India has always been our first responder, and they have always helped us in times of need. So naturally, like one of the biggest threats that we would have is an environment disaster. And you're being a country that is closer to you, the first people who can help us, even if it's an oil spill or anything like this, where our main source of income is marine resources, and anything happens, you will be the first people who can help us. So naturally, your attitude of seeing us neighbors as part of yourselves and wanting to help us is reciprocated from our
And do you
end
think,
as well.
Mariya Didi, that the current government in Maldives is echoing that sentiment or realizes the same? Because there's also a lot of growing business that we see Maldives currently do with China, and that is a troubling sign for India. India is monitoring all of those developments very closely. How do you think Maldives is dealing with that position that today it finds itself in? You know, talk about research vessels in Maldivian waters, trade, free trade, which we're hearing of, so on and so forth. So where do you think the current government is placed, and how do you see their approach towards the two countries?
I think they are not very much in touch with what the people of Maldives want. You know, we are a tourism-based industry. Our biggest industry is tourism, and what we would want to see is peace and stability in the region. We don't want a proxy war in our seas. And if we have bigger neighbors and bigger countries come into our waters and do all sorts of things there, it's not good for us. You know, for us, what we would want is our neighbors also to trust us, to know that we wouldn't do anything silly in our waters that would jeopardize the peace and stability in the region, which is something that we need. As he claims he has a Maldives first policy. If our present President Muizzu thinks of Maldives first, he should think about peace and stability in the region, in the Indian Ocean, in our places where there's no strategic competition but peace. And everybody deals with us with trust and confidence that we will not do anything to jeopardize the peace and stability in the
On
region.
China's part, Mariya Didi, do you reckon the whole debt trap diplomacy, which is often spoken of with regards to China and some of its neighboring nations or nations in the region, do you think that that's the policy they're adopting? And if yes, how wary should Maldives be? Is it trading its cards carefully, or do you think you've got to proceed with this with more caution?
We have to always be wary when people in other countries talk about debt traps, when academics talk about it. We have to see and make sure that we do not get into something that others have already experienced. So we have to be very, very careful because our economy is very small. And we are, we are a proud nation, we are an independent nation, but doesn't necessarily mean we are proud to be small. We are proud to be a group of islands in the Indian Ocean. We are proud to be 200,000 people who love peace and stability in the region. And we have to make sure that we do not go into a debt trap where we cannot really come out of it. We have to position ourselves in a way that, because we are an import-based economy as well, and make sure that we keep our time tested relationships with the countries that we have always been together with.
And speaking of the last 1 year, as far as India-Maldives ties are concerned, it's been an eventful year indeed, don't you think? I mean, with the new government coming in and the anti-India rhetoric that we saw right at the onset, things did look slightly troubling for the two nations, diplomatically speaking as well. Do you see a reset? Do you recognize that reset given the frequent visits now that have been taking place, be it the president and now the finance minister and defense minister?
We always knew it will be a rhetoric, and we always knew that the hard reality of working in a globalized world, in a region, the way forward for us would be that they recognize their natural partners, their time-tested partners, the partners that they have been their development partner from. We cannot deny history. We cannot deny geography. We have to always be aware of where we are, how we react, and how we talk about it. But it's good that, like Rudyard Kipling's poem, when everyone else is losing their head, I'm glad that you all didn't lose your head and get into that. So, in the sense, now he is realizing. He came in, he's never really been in an elected position as such. He's just been a minister. He's been very inexperienced, I suppose, and it was a learning process as well for him. And I think he's still learning, and it'll take some time. Mm-hmm. But hopefully he matures soon, and he sees the hard realities of being a leader in a globalized
for us
world.
Journalists, Mariya Didi, at least here in India, it's nice to finally see the two nations, the leaders walk hand in hand. So fingers crossed on that. But before I let you go, I do want to ask you this. You've traveled to India a couple of times now, and we've been speaking to you about all of these serious discussions, topics, etc. You've spoken of India as a trustworthy, reliable partner. Apart from the diplomatic ties that the two nations enjoy, what's that one thing about India that you take back with you every time you come here for a visit?
India is my second home. When I was a teenager, I traveled to India. I studied in Bangalore. I finished my schooling in Bangalore. It was
Which you've done your legal studies abroad. UK.
Yeah, I did my legal studies in Britain.
Okay.
But like high school, I finished in India. And it was the first place, like Maldives, it's a place where everybody speaks the same language, we're the same color, same religion, whatever. So this was the place where I was introduced to democracy, unity in diversity, a country of many colors, many languages, many spiritual beliefs, where people live in harmony and like you speak the universal language of peace within yourselves and outside as well. So naturally, it's always nice for me to come back to incredible India to taste the flavors of India. And the Maldives also, you will see that your Hindi movies, your dramas, everybody is watching it, you know.
Wow.
And then for medical treatment as well, you know, most Maldivians come to India for anything that they cannot get the service for in Maldives, and that's small things that you would think are very basic things we are here. So naturally, for me, there's a closeness in my heart to India because they welcomed me when I was younger, you know, teenage, starry-eyed and all that, and brought me and grounded in me, and that was my first taste of democracy.
So I'm assuming you have a lot of friends here in India as well.
I sure do, but those days it was not the time of social media and all that, so we've lost touch as well. Many of my friends, they've moved to other countries because I went to an Anglo-Indian school, and most of the friends are in US, Australia, UK and all that, but still there's the feelings, you know, that were there even then are the feelings that invoke in me when I come back to India. And I've always seen friendly, smiling faces here.
How lovely. But all incredible flavors of Indian cuisines are ticked off? Or are there other cuisines that you'd still like to try? Which is that one cuisine you always get to when you're here in India?
The thali.
Oh, wow.
Because it's a little bit of everything,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So it's something that I really enjoy.
Enjoyed having this chat with you, ma'am. Thank you so much for taking out your time.
Thank you for having me here with you.